You win the World Cup, the biggest trophy in football. You're on top of the world, literally. Stadiums full of people chanting your name. Brand deals rolling in. Money you can't even count fast enough. And then, it all falls apart. That's not a hypothetical. That's the real story of some of the most decorated players in football history. These guys touched the World Cup trophy, stood on the biggest stage the sport has to offer, and somehow ended up with nothing. No money, no peace, sometimes no freedom. Let's get into it. Number 5. Bebeto. Most of you know that iconic baby-rocking goal celebration from the 1994 World Cup. Bebeto and Romario. Brazil, USA 94, lifting the trophy. Pure joy. For about a decade, Bebeto was one of the most clinical strikers on the planet. Sharp, smart, lethal in front of goal. When he retired, he had winner's medals, a World Cup, and what looked like a solid plan. He went into business. And that's where it started unraveling. Bebeto opened restaurants, invested in projects, got into commercial ventures, and watched most of them collapse. He also stepped into football management, but things never clicked the way he hoped. The money dried up faster than anyone expected for a man who'd earned that much. He later got into football administration in Brazil, which gave him a platform. But financially, the legacy was far messier than the highlight reel suggested. The business world had no regard for bicycle kicks. The uncomfortable truth is that Bebeto had nobody in his corner teaching him how to protect what he'd built. It's a theme you're going to hear again and again. Number 4. Ronaldo Nazário, R9. Here's a pick that might surprise you, because Ronaldo R9 didn't go broke in the traditional sense. But what he lost after football was arguably worth more than any bank balance. His health, his identity, and for a long time, his mental well-being. The man who scored that unforgettable brace in the 2002 World Cup final against Germany, shaking his head at the roar of the Yokohama crowd, spent his post-retirement years fighting something far harder than any defender he'd faced. He revealed publicly that he'd been battling depression for over 2 years. In his own words, he had gone through terrible times. The fame and the lack of freedom had consumed him in ways the public never saw. Then, there was the physical toll. His body essentially gave out. Hypothyroidism wrecked his metabolism, blew up his weight, and forced him off the pitch earlier than he should have left. He went from the most physically terrifying striker on earth to someone who appeared on a Brazilian weight loss reality show trying to get back to something resembling health. And the kicker? The medication that could have managed his condition was on the anti-doping list, so he couldn't even treat it properly while still playing. 2 World Cups, 3 FIFA World Player of the Year awards, 2 Ballon d'Ors, and then years of depression, health crises, and slowly rebuilding from the rubble. Ronaldo has since found stability. He owns football clubs now, but the path from the 2002 podium to that reality was a rough, painful road most people never talk about. Number 3. Diego Maradona. Where do you even start with this one? Maradona didn't just win a World Cup. He single-handedly carried Argentina to the 1986 trophy in a way no player has done for a nation before or since. The hand of God, the goal of the century, both in the same game against England. He was the sport, he was Argentina. And then, life outside football completely dismantled him. The financial chaos started in Italy. Maradona spent 7 glorious years at Napoli, winning 2 Serie A titles, a UEFA Cup, becoming a literal religion in Naples. But while he was doing all of that, the Italian tax authorities were keeping close tabs. By the time the dust settled, Maradona owed the Italian government an estimated 37 to 40 million euros in unpaid taxes from his Napoli years. At various points, Italian officials literally confiscated his Rolex watches and diamond earrings at the border just to chip away at the debt. He was banned from entering Italy for years to avoid further seizures, and the personal side, even more chaotic. Cocaine addiction during his playing years, which resulted in a positive test and expulsion from the 1994 World Cup. Multiple stints in rehab, a revolving door of legal troubles, custody battles, and health emergencies. He reportedly spent whatever remained after the taxman on a lifestyle of epic excess, luxury cars, entourages, parties that never ended. By the time of his death in 2020, reports suggested he died with barely anything left in his accounts. A man who had earned an estimated $500 million over his career. His lawyer later fought the Italian tax case and claimed the debt was resolved. But Maradona himself had stopped caring about money long before any of that. He died the way he lived, chaotically, without a safety net, and completely on his own terms. A World Cup winner who never once behaved like someone who needed to protect what he had. Number 2, Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho was genuinely one of the most joyful things football has ever produced. The smile, the flicks, the nutmegs, the 2002 World Cup, that free kick against England, Seaman standing there watching it sail in. Then Barcelona, then the Ballon d'Or. The world was his. And then he earned over $100 million and somehow ended up with €6 in his bank account. That's not a metaphor. Brazilian authorities checked Ronaldinho's accounts and found roughly €6. His and his brother's passports were confiscated over an unpaid environmental fine. They'd illegally built a fishing platform in a protected area near Porto Alegre. The fine started small and ballooned to around €2 million. He didn't pay it. His properties got seized. His cars got seized. His art collection, gone. Then, in 2020, he somehow made things dramatically worse. He entered Paraguay carrying fake documents. He's Ronaldinho. His face is on billboards. Nobody in South America doesn't know what Ronaldinho looks like. Border agents spotted it immediately. He spent over 5 months in Paraguayan custody. Reports said he organized football matches in the prison courtyard and won a roast pig as a prize. Classic Ronaldinho, even making the best of a jail cell. How does someone go from peak Barcelona to this? Bad investments, endless parties, an entourage that bled him dry, a divorce lawsuit targeting his fortune, and a total refusal to engage with the idea that the money could actually run out. He trusted the wrong people, ignored the right advice, and lived like the tap would never turn off. It did. If you want this channel to keep uncovering the stories behind the highlights, drop a subscribe. There's a lot more of this coming. Number 1, Adriano. If Ronaldinho's story is a warning, Adriano's is a tragedy. In 2004 and 2005, Adriano was the most feared striker on the planet. Copa America top scorer, Confederations Cup top scorer, €7 million a year at Inter Milan, physical specimen, shot like a cannon. Inter's medical staff would later tell journalists he had muscular pain when really, by his own admission, he'd turned up to training drunk and needed to sleep it off in the medical room. Everything changed in one moment. His father died, and Adriano, alone in Italy, had no idea how to process it. He started drinking to fall asleep, drinking to get through the day, drinking to feel something other than numb. Inter covered for him, made excuses, tried interventions. Javier Zanetti sat with him. Roberto Mancini tried everything. Adriano tried too. But the grief had hollowed him out. He eventually drifted back to the favela in Rio de Janeiro, where he grew up. Broke, no football, drinking daily. Videos surfaced of him wandering the streets. He gave an interview where he called himself football's biggest waste, not with shame, but with an almost resigned acceptance. He said, "I drink every day. I couldn't stop drinking, and in the end, I had to leave Inter." He was 24 when his career effectively ended. By the time he retired officially in 2016, it was barely a footnote. Adriano's story isn't really about money. It's about a man whose entire reason for existing, football, was tied to a father who was no longer there. And when that thread snapped, so did everything else. These 5 players had everything the sport could give, and none of them kept it. The lessons are obvious. Money without a plan disappears. Fame without a support system destroys. And football careers are shorter than they feel when you're living them. The fall from a World Cup podium can be steeper than anyone on it ever imagines. If this one hit different, make sure you're subscribed. We've got more stories like this that need to be told.